Hi, Gerhard Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So, Friedrich Nietzsche, all about the will to power, right? No objective truth, no objective neutral meanings in the world. It's all about power. Michel Foucault, very much influenced by him, by Friedrich Nietzsche, and very enamored with this notion of power, and in discourses, right? You know, whether that discourse be history or science, basic biology, it's all about the dynamics of power and who controls the standards of evidence, the concepts, the observational categories. They are never neutral, but agenda driven. This is where you get this war against free speech, right? Liberals and conservatives, they both agreed on the power of free speech, the contest of ideas, you know, supporting evidence, argument and debate, let the best argument win. But for these postmodernist, social justice warriors in speech, you are either speaking out for the oppressed, the underclass, the poor, picked on Muslims. You don't want to be an Islamophobe or a transphobe or a homophobe, bigoted white person. No, you muster any argument against, I've spoken about the dangers of Islam, Islamophobia, about this poisonous, tribalizing, Black Lives Matter. The movement is Marxist, and the agenda is exactly wrong. It's hurting black people. This radical trans activism, you speak out against that, and you will be shouted down. You need to acknowledge your position of privilege, and privilege, white, cis, which means your sexual identity aligns with your basic biology, heterosexuality, whiteness, right? These are all positions of privilege, and if you speak out at all, it better be against, your position of privilege. And you speak out against these delusional social justice lies and their misrepresentations and their delusions, and you will be shouted down. And yes, they seriously think, speech can be violence, and they will use violence to fight violence, right? The minute you equate speech, a speech act with violence, yes, you are implicitly condoning violence in response. And we've seen actual violence numerous times by militant trans activists for anybody speaking against their lies. Look at the shameful attacks on Riley Gaines, the swimmer. And it's men in skirts, right? Female violence does not take that shape. Female violence is to cull you from the herd, right? To alienate you from your friends and associates, to attack your reputational damage. This is why, male bullying doesn't scale, right? The internet, male bullying, typically one-on-one, bigger man picking on a little man, but it doesn't scale. Social justice militancy, it scales. Social media, it is awful. And yes, women are, sadly, it is true, overrepresented in the social justice militancy and these shameless, pitiless, remorseless, and ceaseless attacks on people's reputations and their characters. They will be satisfied with nothing less than bringing somebody's life to absolute ruin. And trans activist militancy, you see very few cases, although there have been a few, like that school shooting by the trans man, so a woman, right, engaging in murderous violence against little school children. But this is vanishingly rare. Physical violence is a manifestation of masculinity, and yes, it can be toxic, right? At any rate, no, speech is not violence. It can be hateful, it can be hurtful. I remember as a kid, the ACLU defending the right of neo-Nazis to march through a Chicago neighborhood where there were Holocaust survivors. The ACLU supported their right, freedom of expression, freedom of speech. I think these neo-Nazis are odious human beings. Let them speak. Let them speak, and then shout them down, right? You get your soapbox up there, and you tell them why exactly their ideology is poisonous nonsense. And I mentioned this before. Both the pointy-headed leftists and the neo-Nazis both love this race shaming and this tribalizing, because undoubtedly you think you're going to take young white men, teach them to identify with their whiteness, recognize that they are white, they need to acknowledge their whiteness, and then you want them to make some kind of apologies and concessions and expressions of guilt. No. This is a dangerous game to play. And telling black people that white people don't like them or that the system is against them. And then, looting is, a form of reparations. Yes, there was a deluded leftist woman, white, who I think the book is entitled In the Defense of Looting. Poisonous. And it's having disastrous consequences for absolutely everybody. Anyways, there's my rant on free speech. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Do drop a thumbs up if you liked the video. And please check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice. It's available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. Thank you so much now for your time and attention. Bye-bye.